Welcome to Art of Black Miami, a podcast sponsored by Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. Our stories introduce emerging and experienced artists who make Miami an exciting place to live and visit. I'm Rosie Gordon-Wallace, curator and arts advocate. Miami has been my home since the 1970s. My passion is cultivating the vision and talent of contemporary artists from the Caribbean diaspora, artists of color, and immigrant artists. Many cultures and languages verge to shape Miami's character. Today we introduce you Sheherazade Thénard.
Thank you.
Folks, I had to practice the name. She is beautiful, and I thank her for coming into the studio to speak with us. Mm-hmm. You have made quite a scene in Miami. I have watched you for the past year and a half, and we were excited to have you come and talk to us today. What's been happening to you that you're particularly proud of?
So I remember being in Central Florida and seeing all of the beautiful things happening in Miami and thinking about home, thinking about like just what feels good as an artist in my practice and wanting to have things that felt more aligned. Recently, or technically last year as of now, but I'm very quickly coming up on my residency term for AIRIE. So I'm going to be doing AIRIE in May.
That's right.
And yeah, I just started my second year at Oolite, so I will be there. And I have a couple other smaller group shows that I am super excited about. So that's what I'm doing. I'm alchemizing and cooking.
Well, we're feeling the excitement.
Mm-hmm.
How do you describe yourself?
Describe myself?
Yes. Artistically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am somebody who has been looking. So I grew up reading a lot of fiction and thinking about other worlds and imagining how things can kind of feel like you as, or me specifically, as somebody who's a young Black girl looking to see myself in things, what those worlds could look like. So I think my practice started off as imagining those spaces and doing what I could with my pencil on canvas and bringing in oil paint to just illustrate the feeling of what those spaces of belonging in Florida or just the greater landscape were. I have functioned in interdisciplinary ways. Yes. However, painting has my heart. I've been a painter since I was a child.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I've been looking at your work and the work, those diverse landscapes that describe diaspora, but there is a kind of metaphorical, interspatial feel about the work. When I look at your work, I am not thinking of the region. Mm-hmm. Yet I pick up identity, I pick up feminism, I pick up cultural spacing, but not specifically to the region, primarily because of the colors that you use. So am I on the right track? Will our audience go with you if you explain to us the Caribbean underpinning and what those cultural identities, what are we to take from those cultural identities in the paintings?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Florida. My family came from, or specifically the matrilineal side of my family, they came from Martinique. So growing up, I had a lot of that influence, a lot of those stories, and a lot of the objects that they carried that were important to them in the house. So for me, I was just kind of how do I bridge the fact that I grew up here and also deeply wanting to connect with my family and understand what they were experiencing and trying to figure that out. I started with this series called Chamois, which was, it was the password for my grandmother's computer. When she passed away, she was a writer and she was developing basically a novel, and that was her password. Yeah, and it just I remember seeing that and thinking about our house and our home and how all of these things come together to construct my identity. So yeah, it's coming from a mix of my experience in Florida and all of these stories that were kind of swirling around me and trying to like figure out the bridge for those things. And that's what that series was. I did 33 miniature paintings.
Yes.
Yeah, just exploring family archival imagery or images from Martinique that my mom would show me as a kid. And she would say like, oh, this felt like where we would go to get groceries or where we would go to like see the ocean or just connect with the land. So that's what I did in that series. And from here, I've kind of catalyzed that more into a spiritual realm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my work is just kind of iterating off of all of these different things that I've been exploring with. And also, we live in Florida. We live very close to the equator. And the color in my work is often thinking about the quality of light that's here. And
the haze. There's a red haze. Mm-hmm. Right? I didn't mean to jump in, but there's a red haze, orange, when you have a deep fire, mm-hmm. folks, and you're looking into the fire and you see that orange that is not a very popular color that painters use. Your work has it all over. But I'm going to go back. So who is from Martinique, and have you ever been to Martinique?
Heavy question.
I touched a nerve, folks. Yep. Yeah, I love when the artists respond.
Mm-hmm. So I know that my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mom was born here, but she spent a lot of her childhood in Martinique. So all of them came from Martinique and a lot of like that side of my family.
So they're Creole women.
Exactly.
Creole women. Yes.
And I'm not familiar with my father's side, but he's from Trinidad, and I know that.
Oh, you poor thing.
No, my mom said let's mix it up.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm not super familiar with them, but I grew up with, my family is actually very small, so everybody that was an elder, I got to hear so much about them. And especially as I grew older, I would hear more and more and more.
You probably listened more.
Mm-hmm.
In Miami, what neighborhoods do you find where you can pick up your French Creole innate practice? Because you and I know you don't have to come from a place to be the place.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
The food, I'm sure you know the food of the Creole, the salsa, the crab. They do a nice crab meal. We can talk a little bit about food before we go on their drinks. Is there a neighborhood that in Miami that brings out this flavor, your Martinican flavor to you?
I shout out to Little Haiti. I feel like when I went to Little Haiti for the first time as an adult and was able to like really figure out like, oh, like I am in a place that's like very rich. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Little Haiti was just so full of beauty. They were so full of art. There is like a lot of vibrancy that I remember.
One of our heritage neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I remember going to Aurora right before I like moved formally like down to Miami.
At the Haiti Cultural Center.
Yes, yeah. And it was actually a part of the Mountains film. So between Little Haiti, I was able to...
Shout out to Monica.
Right.
Yeah, listen. I'm out there, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh.
No, for real. Yeah. And it felt so good to be kind of in this artistic center where so many also just like Miami artists are Haitian. Yeah. And me being a Francophone cousin.
That's right.
Yeah. I felt like there was some kind of like connection. And I also remember growing up and hearing this kind of like friction between Martinique and Haiti, mm-hmm. because Haiti is just like culturally and like literally more like African of center. And I think there is like a type of colonialism or like a kind of veneration for, not to say veneration, but like Frantz Fanon wrote about it, like, of just like the French and like European of center culture. So seeing a culture that was so celebratory of Blackness, of African spirituality, of like the pulse of just like colonialism and being able to kind of like have pride through all of it was really beautiful for me to see. Because for my family, my grandmother, my mom are very light-skinned, so I know that that's kind of coming through like generations of colorism or just like slow...
And creolity.
Right.
We talk about it in the Caribbean, and we know what it means when somebody says you're from a Creole family. You don't have to describe the person. We know that there's a particular look. I want to ask a little bit about some fun stuff. With all the noise that's going on around with the art world, you are headed to AIRIE. AIRIE is a project, folks, for our listeners, that invites artists to come to the Everglades and spend a month in independent study. No one is walking with and holding your hand. What intrigued you about the AIRIE process? We're really close to AIRIE and Tracy Carter, Robinson Carter, Tracy Robinson Carter, and the project that they lead there.
Yeah, so just AIRIE as a residency was super attractive to me, just to be able to spend time in the Everglades and just develop like a body of work. Right. I started off as like a plein air painter when I was like truly 11 and 12, and I've been touching back into that more and more lately.
I see it in the size of the work. And in how you're handling how you're managing the canvas as well. And there's landscapes. You've done a series of landscapes as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I can see the connection. I just wanted to hear it from you. And you've had the privilege of being an Oolite artist. Many of the artists that we've interviewed have gone through that trajectory as well. This is your second year at Oolite?
Yeah, this is my second year.
Yeah, so second and final year for this period. So you have a studio on Miami Beach. So tell me a little bit about your academic training as a woman who is a painter. And do you see an advantage in being a Black woman who is a painter? Or do you also see the fact that we have been left out of the canon many times in the past? What's your observation, or your experience?
So I was able to get my master's degree pretty shortly after my graduate, like just BFA kind of degree, mainly because they gave me a fellowship, which allowed me to be in school with a full ride. And I am also an educator. So as an educator from that fellowship, I am also teaching students and like able to talk more about the canon of art history and art making that I experienced, or lessons that I've learned personally, because there is a lot of leaving out. There is a lot of erasure. And I think for me, I was working in kind of a perfect storm where I was posting my work and I was receiving visibility that was not just like local to my city, because I did go to University of Central Florida. So I was working with like a slight, I am in Central Florida. There is not that many, connections that are coming out of there. But I still did as much as I could with what I had. And I'm really proud of the work that I did there, and just continuing to develop my career as an artist, but also just like building out my practice.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
I'm asking now that you have this residency, you have a studio, you have a practice, are you meeting collectors, and is there a typical collector that you're meeting? And then who is collecting the work?
I don't know if there's a typical collector, especially for me. And when I was working with galleries that were international or otherwise, sometimes there's like a wall of information. So I know that my work is in a country, but I might not know who exactly is behind that. So I think that has been a little difficult for me as an artist, just wanting to know where my work is going. And thankfully, a lot of my collectors who've purchased bigger works, they like tag me, or they like show me where it is. And I love that. I love seeing like how my work is living beyond me.
Because it's your archive. I mean,
exactly.
if if as you have a long life, your legacy is going to be that work. And if you're going to do a retrospective of your work, you certainly want to be able to invite those collectors to join you on that journey. So I'm happy to hear it. I ask this question frequently about a typical collector, and maybe I need to specify what I'm talking about. In the Afro-Caribbean and Afro-diasporic collectors, do you find that they're attracted to your work, to your genre of work as a painter?
I
wish you could see her face, folks.
No, absolutely. I find sometimes that with figurative work, there's a little bit of a step back. They're like, okay, who is this person? What are they thinking? But I also see just as much of the seduction between a figurative work and a landscape piece kind of merging together that collectors are excited by. But sometimes non-objective is more exciting to collectors. But broadly, I would say that a lot of the interest from collectors in Miami have been Black folk that are in their they're in their 30s and 40s, and I have so many young and exciting artists that are also interested in purchasing or acquiring pieces.
Artists are buying artists' work.
Yes.
I love it.
Or trading too. Yeah. So buying, trading, we're interested in what we're doing, and I think it's worth that time investment.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Mm-hmm. That is really so good to hear, because I grew up in a time when we didn't have the money, so artists traded either writings, photography, and work with each other.
Yeah.
And those matter, because you're getting really early work in that case. We touched on a little bit of the spirituality of your work, and not everyone, a lot of people are talking about mindfulness, but I feel it in your presence in the studio. Where is your life in practicing mindfulness, if there's such a term, you know what I'm saying, and wellness? And is there a struggle or a level of intimacy with that balance? Because I see it in your work. I feel the spirituality in your work. So is it a part of your practice, your daily practice? And if so, how?
Okay. Absolutely. There is a deep spiritual practice in what I do. However, I'm not necessarily focused on an organized religion. So for me, and even just how I was raised, I was kind of between Catholicism, Christianity, and then my mom was just very interested in the world religion. So when it came to me having to be focused on anything, she was like, just experience, just allow yourself.
Be curious.
Yeah, be curious about all the things happening around you. So I would say I was doing a lot of looser spiritual practices, and now I'm more curious about African traditional spiritual practices, but still not necessarily a part of a house or, a grouping of people. I'm doing a lot of that work on my own. So yeah, I'll have divination practices, moments where I'll go outside and just feel.
I'm going to end on one thing that's kind of frivolous. Flats or heels?
Flats or heels? Ugh. I'm a platform girly.
Platform girly. You're trying to keep it safe, okay?
Or, I don't know, the creeper shoes
yes.
where they are super thick. I love that.
Yeah. So comfort as well. Vintage over new?
Vintage, always.
Okay. Window or aisle? Seat? Don't think too much.
Definitely window.
Window for sure. So you're not sharing. You don't want to come out.
No.
Okay. Last question. That's just frivolous. Leather or lace?
Ooh. Okay, wait. I can't say both because both.
The question said leather or lace. Is there a preference? And after the podcast, I'll tell you what I was thinking. Leather or lace?
I'm going to sit with leather.
Leather.
Yeah. Love leather.
I would have said that for you. This has been such a joy. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for opening up yourself. You told us a lot that people won't find on the internet.
True.
And it's been a real pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
This is the Art of Black Miami, sponsored by Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. I am Rosie Gordon-Wallace. Today we introduced you to Sheherazade, and she shared with us the many insights of her practice. We recorded this conversation in the podcast studios at Barry University, a Catholic institution of higher education founded in 1940 in the Miami Shores neighborhood, a richly artistic and cultural area. Art of Black Miami highlights the year-round art and culture scene in Miami's heritage neighborhoods and across communities in Greater Miami and the beaches. If you enjoy our stories, visit our artofblackmiami.com. To learn more, engage us on social media, post and share using the artofblackmiami.com. The Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau is an accredited, independent, not-for-profit sales and marketing organization. The GMCVB's mission is to attract visitors to the Greater Miami and Miami beaches for leisure, business, and conventions. For art events, promotions, and information, visit artofblackmiami.com.